Drivers, start your engines. Pull those belts down tight one more time, warm up those tires, hit your marks, and let's go racing, boys and girls. NASCAR, Indycar, Formula One, Formula E, and NHRA Racing Talk. This is the Championship Racing Network. Now here is your hosts, Steve West and Matt Nicholson, with producer John Myers.
Hey, welcome in. Hope everything is going well. Welcome to Alabama Speed Weeks.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Indeed. If you don't know what we're talking about, we'll get to the scheduling coming up here in just a moment or two. And we'll explain why in just a bit as well. Qualifying already underway in Formula One for the Romagna Italian Grand Prix at Imola.
Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix.
Bless you.
For their words.
Yes, bless you.
Thank you.
Let's see. I am Steve West. That is Matt Nicholson.
Good morning.
John Myers over there working on some things over there where we are on not only our flagship station, Thunder 92.7, East Central Alabama. For those of you that are checking us out online, there are plenty of those radio streaming websites that you can check us out on. But there's also that little situation where we are web streaming. We've been for the longest time going by Facebook Live. We're adding something to it.
Yes, sir, we are.
Trying to, according to John. We are
It's working.
building up, and we've had it for a while. We just haven't had the chance to do much with it. But we've got our own YouTube channel. So if you go online, go to YouTube, which, let's face it, everybody goes to YouTube, and just look up Championship Racing Network. Boom, there we are. And we are on that as well.
Yeah, it's more like who doesn't watch YouTube. these days.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Pretty cool. Can you get feedback off of YouTube? Like if I showed YouTube right there, you know. But anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're there. Hopefully you can check us out. And any way you want to check us out, we appreciate it, certainly. All right, let's get into things here with the first two races of last weekend. Due to Mother Nature, they were actually the two races that make up Formula E's Rome E-Prix weekend. Saturday morning U.S. time, things got rolling in race one, and they've got a new attack mode, and, you know, I guess you could kind of figure it's like DRS in Formula One or push to pass in IndyCar. Right. Just gives them a little bit of extra boost of power there. Question was when to use it. Well, Jean-Eric Verne started fifth, used his masterfully, worked his way up to second by midway through the race. Only Lucas de Grassi was in front of him. De Grassi ended up having a technical issue that slowed his racer on the final few minutes of the 45 minutes plus one lap race format, and Verne claimed the lead, one that he was going to keep to the checkers. Also benefiting from DeGrassi's trouble, Sam Bird, Mitch Evans, both Jaguar drivers who claimed second and third, marks the first double podium finish for Jaguar in their time so far in Formula E.
Well.
Verne, Bird, Evans first, second, third, Robin Freins fourth, Sebastian Buemi, Rene Rast, Pascal Wehrlein, Alex Lynn, Max Gunther, Tom Blomqvist all make up the top 10. We're going to deal with the driver and the team standings after this next run here, so stay close. Race 2 saw a winner that didn't even get a top 10 in race 1 of the doubleheader weekend. In fact, he didn't even finish the race. He was officially credited with 19th place. Stoffel Van Dorn, however, used that as, well, motivation. Qualified fourth for race number 2, got out front just past halfway, pulled away to claim the win. Alex Sims was able to outmaneuver Norman Nato for second place. Nato crossed the line in third, but after a post-race inspection, Nato's Rocket Venturi racing car was disallowed. It was determined he used too much energy, whatever that truly means in Formula E terms. So Pascal Wehrlein was awarded third place, trailing the podium trio Eduardo Mortara, Max Gunther, Mitch Evans, and Antonio Felix da Costa, Tom Blomqvist, there he is again, Nico Muller, and Sebastian Buemi. Weekend saw Sam Bird jump to the front in driver standings. He's up now to 43, 39 points for Mitch Evans. Interesting to note that for the first time ever, we told you that in race number 1, Jaguar got a pair of podium finishes.
Yeah.
Thing about these two drivers, Sam Bird and Mitch Evans, they're both Jaguar drivers. Hello. Robin Freins is in third place, 34 points. Stoffel Van Dorn, with his win on Sunday in the doubleheader, jumped up to fourth with 33. 32 for Nick DeVries. Pascal Wehrlein tied. Then you got Eduardo Mortara with 30. 25 for Jean-Eric Verne. For a guy who won on Saturday, that's a pretty low point total. Alex Sims with 24 and 21 for Antonio Felix da Costa. In team points, remember I mentioned that the two Jaguar drivers were leading first and second?
Yeah.
Well, that means Jaguar has the team point lead by a fairly significant margin. 82 points to 65 for Mercedes. Diaz Tequita is third with 46. Then 37 for Envision Virgin Racing, Tag Heuer Porsche 32, 31 for Rocket Venturi. Mahindra's got 28, 27 for Audi Sport ABT Schaeffler. Nissan's got 26, 24 for Dragon Penske, And it may not seem like much, but you have to note something. The Williams of Formula E, Neo 333, has 14 points, and they're not in last.
Hey,
that
now.
belongs to BMW Andretti, who only has 12.
It's not often that you say the words last place in Andretti
No.
in anything.
You are correct.
Yeah.
You are very correct. All right. Then, that'll bring us over to NASCAR. And we start where on Sunday at midday, because the Xfinity Series got rained out Friday night, it got rescheduled to Sunday at midday. We told you about that on the show last week. Turns out the Cup Series got rained out Saturday night as well, so once the infield was cleared out of Xfinity, then Cup Series teams rolled in, got set up, and took off for the Sunday doubleheader. So here we go. Friday night, Xfinity Series got 91 laps in under the lights. In broad daylight, things can change. You know this. You're a driver. As things began to wind down, Josh Berry. Who? Josh Berry. Late model driver usually for Junior Motorsports, who is getting some time this year in the Xfinity Series for that same team. Started battling his teammate Noah Gragson and a Joe Gibbs Racing trio of drivers, with Ty Gibbs leading the way. In fact, he was in the lead with 30 laps to go. But with 27 laps to go, Berry got by the grandson of Joe Gibbs and held off his teammate, as we mentioned, Noah Gragson, to claim his first top-level NASCAR win. Marks the first driver to win in the number 8 in Xfinity Series competition since the one and only Dale Jr. himself did it back in 2006 in Michigan.
And might I add, Ty Gibbs in an unsponsored JGR car. You don't say that word very often.
No, you are correct.
Unsponsored JGR car. But it was really good for Barry to get that finally get that breakthrough that he's been working his proverbial rear end off for 10 years.
Agreed, yeah. And it's kind of like, hey, finally getting that recognition that he so deserves. I mean,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
been a good driver down there.
Oh yeah, late model stuff and short track stuff. I mean, somebody even if he's not able to after the June mark to secure a ride for the rest of the year somewhere, which Junior Motorsports can easily expand to 5 cars and put him in a car for the rest of the year because he's now qualified for the playoffs.
Oh yeah,
which it'd be crazy not to, because sponsorship is starting to filter in at a really big pace for it.
foreshadowing. We'll get back to that. Then you got Gragson, as we had noted. He finished second. Daniel Hemrick, driving for Joe Gibbs Racing, got by his young teammate Ty Gibbs for third. Gibbs in dirty air just couldn't keep up his momentum. He slipped all the way back to fourth, just ahead of Brandon Jones. Austin Cindric was sixth, trailed by Harrison Burton, Justin Haley, Justin Allgaier, and Michael Annett. Cindric leads the way with 2 wins, 4 total playoff slots locked down, with wins by A.J. Allmendinger, Myatt Snyder, Justin Allgaier. Wins by Ty Gibbs and Josh Berry would, under most circumstances, make them playoff eligible. Got to remember, they're not running, the full Xfinity Series schedule. So right now, they're not playoff eligible. They could ask for a waiver. I'm not sure they would get it because they're not coming back from injuries.
Right.
So understand that.
Yep.
Rest of your top 12 at this time made up of Daniel Hemrick, Harrison Burton, Justin Haley, Jeb Burton, Jeremy Clements, Brandon Jones, Noah Gragson, and Michael Annett. Annett has a 10-point lead for 12th place in the final playoff slot over Brandon Brown. That'll bring us to the Cup Series later on that same day, Sunday afternoon. They ran into the evening time. During the day, it was looking like it was going to come down to a battle between Denny Hamlin and Ryan Blaney. Hamlin was able to get a great jump off on the restarts. Blaney's car would come in on long runs and allow him to claim, actually, the first 2 stage wins. But stage 3 is when the sun started to set. Blaney's team made a mistake, and it's a big one, too. They let the number 12 Mustang for Team Penske drag an air hose out of his pit stall. That earned him a penalty for taking equipment out of the pit stall. It sent him to the back of the field on that restart. So it seemed kind of clear for Denny Hamlin. Yeah, not so fast, my friend. 15 laps to go. Martin Truex Jr. was able to get around Denny Hamlin, rolls on to the win. His 3rd win at Martinsville in the last 4 races. His 2nd win of this season. So what does that do? It means for the first time in 2021, we have seen a repeat winner in the Cup Series in the form of Martin Truex Jr., and that makes one John Myers very, very happy. If you're looking on YouTube or on Facebook Live, you can see him pumping his fist in the air in happiness while he is also eating his breakfast.
Yes, thank you.
Therefore, he will be a man of few words for the moment. Chase Elliott was able to get by Hamlin. He got second place. Hamlin dropped to third, trailed by William Byron. Kyle Larson, Joey Logano, Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, Kevin Harvick, and Kyle Busch made out the top 10. Ryan Blaney recovers from his penalty. He claims 11th. With his second win of the year, Truex holds the 1 seed in the playoffs right now. Joey Logano, Kyle Larson, Ryan Blaney, William Byron, Christopher Bell, and Michael McDowell also locked into the playoffs with 1 win each. Those that are in on points are led by Denny Hamlin. Seems strange to think Hamlin, as powerful and as good as Hamlin has been the first part of this year, it's strange to think he doesn't have a win yet.
Yet. Keyword.
Chase Elliott also doesn't have a win yet. Kevin Harvick yet. Brad Keselowski, Kyle Busch, Austin Dillon, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Chris Buescher, Kurt Busch.
Yet.
Yeah. Kurt Busch holds a 5-point lead over Alex Bowman for 16. There are some yets. Notice he didn't say yet on everybody.
Yeah.
Noting that.
Keyword.
Got a busy race weekend this weekend. It begins with the Camping World Truck Series. They run the Toyota Care 250 at Richmond Raceway this afternoon, 1:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 p.m. Central Time. It'll be on Fox Sports 1 and MRN Radio. Tomorrow morning, Formula One wakes us up on Sunday with the Pirelli di Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix of Italy at Imola. At this point in time, I'm craving some lasagna. 19 turns, 3.05 miles long. Airtime on ESPN, the main network, 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central Time. NASCAR's Cup Series rolling into Richmond Raceway, it's easy for me to say, Richmond Raceway Sunday for the Toyota Owners 400. Fox and MRN Radio have the coverage. Starts 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central Time. Shortly after that, the NTT Data Indycar Series gets their 2021 season underway right here in our own backyard. That's why I say it's the beginning of Alabama Speed Weeks right here, because they're going to run the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama at the 17-turn, 2.38-mile-long road course just east of downtown Birmingham, Barber Motorsports Park. Coverage on NBC, the main network, and IndyCar Radio begins 3:30 p.m. Eastern, 2:30 p.m. Central Time. I'm going to be wearing out the back button. I'm going to set it to Fox and to NBC and just keep clicking back and forth. I'm warning my bosses right now because I actually got to work tomorrow. I don't have to work this afternoon. I do have to work tomorrow. But, you know, I work in TV, so watching TV. I'm watching TV, boss. Just a preview. And the NHRA also gets back into action. They're going to run the Denso Spark Plugs 4-wide NHRA Nationals at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. But that'll air on a delayed basis on Fox Sports 1. They'll get coverage going at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central Time. Of the series that we cover, the only two that are taking the weekend off, Xfinity and Formula E, as the 2021 season is now fully underway for all of the series that we cover. So we've set the foundation for the show. When we come back, we will get ourselves into the news of the week. And it actually begins with Open Wheel. We've got a reason for that. We'll tell you why. But in setting the foundation, it also reminds me that you need to make sure that your foundation is in good shape. Because if it's not, this is going to be something that's either going to cause you major problems down the line, and or it's going to cost you a lot of money. And that's where our friends at Ox Foundation Solutions come in. Call our friend, and I say our friend because not only do I know Michael Hart, so does John, so does Matt. We know him very, very well. Yep. We know him to be very trustworthy. He's not going to steer you wrong. And in fact, we have already gotten reports of a couple of different people using Michael based upon hearing him right here on this show. And Michael has already told one of them, hey, I've checked your house out. You're looking good. No need to do anything more. They got themselves a written foundation, whatever you want to call it. I mean, he's got a written estimate. Oh, thanks. Is that looking that good? Yeah, okay. They have it written down that, hey, you got no problems. That's peace of mind right there. You want that? You can get it. Seeing cracks in the brick, you're seeing basement problems, garage, walls, sheetrocks, cracks in there anywhere. You got some water or damp floors or somewhere in your basement or your crawl space, maybe even sticking windows or doors, all these could, and we're not saying that it definitely is, but it could be signs of massive problems with your foundation. Just get it checked out. Call Michael, 205-362-6419. He will come out. He will take a look at your house. He will go all over it. He will go through it with a fine-tooth comb. And when he's done, you will get a written foundation assessment. And you'll know whether you got a problem. And you'll be able to know that if you don't have a problem, number one, you're comfortable. But two, if you do have a problem, now you know what needs to be done, and you've got an idea of about how much it's going to cost to get it fixed. If you wait on it, it's going to cost more because it ain't going to fix itself. So get it fixed. And if you do need to, use the promo code WEST. You're going to get 15% off any repair you might need. So again, call our good friend Michael Hart, 205-362-6419. Get that peace of mind with Ox Foundation Solutions.
We will be right back with more on the Championship Racing
How
Network.
in the world I could not come up with the word assessment when it was written down on the dang paper? Duh!
Gotta give you time to get back to the board.
Keeping you on your toes.
No. It's a matter of click, wait, click, and then turn on.
I went with the YouTube share this time.
You went to who now?
Instead of sharing the Facebook Live video, I shared the YouTube video.
It's kind of jumpy.
Yeah, well.
I'm gonna try it next time. Try recording to Facebook instead of YouTube and do live to YouTube.
Yeah, you can record it through OBS too.
Do I?
OBS, you can record as well and then uplink it. Upload, excuse me.
That's what we're doing. That's how I'm getting both YouTube and Facebook. But
Key to the new lock.
well, they run
I've got
about
your lock in the car. I'll
35%,
get it to you
so,
when we're done with the show.
due to the latency or lag, whatever you want to call it, it's not refreshing YouTube fast enough.
Okay.
So I think YouTube is the better platform.
Long run.
Here we go.
This week, we changed things up a little bit. We're going to start off with Formula One. And the reason why is qualifying is going on right now. Why is qualifying going on right now? Seems a little early, doesn't it? Well, it is. F1 officials decided they needed to change the time that they qualify for the race at Imola because they wanted to avoid an airtime clash with the funeral of England's Prince Philip, the late husband of Queen Elizabeth. Seems that in the original scheduling, F1 had it set at a specific time, and then Prince Philip died, and, well, they set the funeral to be at the exact same time. How careless of the royal family, huh? Anyway, so in F1's defense, you know, again, they were there first, but they also realized something. Formula One and the track, they will honor Prince Philip with a moment of silence before they began qualifying, so they've already done that. As noted, there are 10 teams in Formula One, and despite several of the companies being based outside of the country, Mercedes, Renault, for example, 7 of the 10 race teams actually have their race operations in Britain. So qualifying began an hour earlier. It is actually underway now. Are we still in Q1?
We are still in Q1
Okay.
because
For a fleeting moment, the Haas F1 twins were first and second. Of course, they had been the only 2 cars on the track, but, you know, hey, a win is a win, right?
for a moment,
Yes.
There
It's
was
no
about-
longer the case.
there was about a 8 to 10 minute delay due to Yuki Tsunoda crunching it up into the barriers.
So that'll hurt.
So,
He'll be starting at the back of the field.
yep, there's 2 minutes and 7 seconds left in Q1, and same song, different verse for the cars up top. Bottas and Hamilton.
That order might change.
Yeah, it's a
Where's the lead Red Bull driver?
lead Red Bull driver is in P4.
Wow, who's in the middle there?
That would be Lando Norris.
Lando Norris, when I left home, and I don't know whether it was actual live P3 or whether it was a replay of P3, and it really doesn't matter. But as I was leaving the house to come here, there was about 8.5 minutes left. Lando Norris was actually leading P3.
Yeah.
He's got himself a rocket ship.
Yeah,
Let's see how it does.
it's down to 119 now.
Okay.
Q1's about to end.
And I'm thinking that the Haas twins are about out.
Yeah.
How far back?
That would be bringing up the bottom 5 right now would be
Hot shot.
Raikkonen,
In 20th?
16th.
Oh, 16th. Okay.
16th to 20.
Okay.
Schumacher, Latifi.
Schumacher's not, in fact, Schumacher is not even second to last, which that may say something about the talent of this kid, truth be told.
Yeah. 19th, Mays Spin. I'm going to call him now.
Yeah, he's getting a little anxious.
Yeah, and then Sonoda, he crashed out. He didn't even get a lap, so he would be 20th.
DNQ. Okay, so we'll keep an eye on that as we go on throughout the hour here. Meantime, would you like to buy a racetrack?
Bring me a checkbook, and I will go.
Former home of the Canadian Grand Prix, one of them anyway, has been sold by the guy who owns the Aston Martin race team and is a majority partner of the Aston Martin car company. We're talking about Lawrence Stroll. Stroll is selling off the Mont Tremblant circuit. Sounds so proper. Mont Tremblant circuit. It's a 2.65 mile long, 17-turn road course which hosted Formula One in 1968 and again in 1970. They hosted Indycar back in 2007. It's a track that was opened up in 1964. Stroll bought it back in 2000. When he bought it, he decided he needed to do some work to the facility and got right to it. Well, he's a billionaire, so he could afford to. Slight redesign began the process. Then he did a repave that widened the surface from 28 to 40 feet wide. He also put in some new gravel traps and runoff areas, and it is actually up to FIA safety standards. Good luck in trying to lure F1 away from Montreal, but that's another story entirely. Thursday of this past week, officially, Stroll put the site up for bidding. I'm thinking not on eBay.
Probably not.
2.65 miles long, 17 turns. I saw kind of a drone shot, if you would. I haven't seen any video of any car running this. I've none of that. I've only seen one shot, kind of a drone. It seems a little bit rolling hill type.
It is. I'm looking at it right now.
Picturesque road course
Very.
on, I don't even know how many acres of land, truth be told.
Let's see here. Let's see what we can find. Let's go here.
And how much it would cost? I'm thinking it's not cheap.
No. I'm trying to see what the opening bid is actually going for.
All right, while you're looking at that, we'll talk about the actual Canadian Grand Prix. Canadian Broadcasting Company, CBC, is reporting that COVID-19 cases in the country are on the rise again, leaving the F1 race scheduled for June 13th likely to be run without fans in attendance, due in part to F1 racing in Baku, Azerbaijan, the previous weekend. Quarantine rules, remember. So in return, due to losses in ticket sales revenue, Formula One said that they're seeking a little bit more funding to cover it, about $6 million U.S. Could be a problem. Quebec's premier, Francois Legault, is a little hesitant. He said, quote, "We are told that because there will be no spectators, that there should be compensation from the government when we have already given a lot." Legault also noted that the country and Formula One do have a contract to race through to the year 2029, which prompted Legault to say, quote, "The concern that we have, if we do not have a Grand Prix in 2021, what happens with our 2022 to 2029 agreement? Because let's not forget that the Grand Prix is the event that has the most real economic benefit, because it is money that comes from abroad that is spent in Quebec, or Quebec, however you choose to say it. But we always make sure that the aid is given that the aid given is less than the benefit. In other words, they want to be able to get more money back. They want to make a profit on it. I can kind of understand that. Wow, a government that's actually seeking to make a profit. Huh.
Shocker.
I wonder if there's a government that we know of that actually could use that as a basis. I have to think about that for a bit.
Yep.
While not specifically mentioning money issues, totally, Quebec is willing to host Formula One without fans and some other concessions. The concessions include, but are not limited to, charter flights in and out for the teams, staying in dedicated hotels and keeping isolated from the general public while they're in the country, and undergoing regular testing. In addition, Quebec is asking the Canadian government to suspend quarantine rules for Formula One in this case if they agree to the limitations that are being set by the province. I guess we'll find out. By the way, a rumor about the Canadian Grand Prix being canceled began right after that story that we just detailed broke, but both Formula One and the promoters of the race insist that it has not been canceled. No, at least not yet. Talks do continue about running the race either with a small number of fans in attendance or more likely without them. I haven't heard anything about a delay yet.
No.
So hopefully that will not.
I've got a good racetrack they can run it on. Mont Tremblant.
Yes,
That's
okay.
a great one.
Tell us a little bit more about Mont Tremblant.
Well,
I feel like I need a
course of Mont Tremblant. Can't find how many acres that it sits on, but there are actually 4 individual layouts within one.
Okay.
They have a full circuit, 2.647 miles. A full circuit with a chicane that is as well 2.647. They have a north circuit. It is a 1.529 mile layout.
Okay.
And as well as a south circuit that is a 1.187 mile layout.
All right.
They have, as Road America has, their turns, Canada Corner, the S's, Kettle Bottoms, so
Yeah,
forth.
they name them.
We have Name Row, which is the last turn coming out, next to last turn coming out to the start finish. We have Paddock Bend, we have the S's, we have the Hump, we have the Gulch, and we have the Kink, as
The
well as the
Gulch.
Bridge Turn.
The Gulch. I love it.
The Gulch.
All right. And by the way, there has been over the past, give or take 20 years, a racing school in Canada based at that track. And according to the way that everything was written down for the bidding, you could then continue to talk to them about continuing to host that racing school
Yep.
at that track. So it'd be cool. Have we found a bidding price yet?
I have not.
Uh-huh.
I have not. I'm looking, but I have
All right.
not.
We'll keep an eye on it. If we can't find it by the end of the show, we'll update it when we know. Let's come back to where they're racing this weekend. When Formula One ran at Imola in 2020, it was kind of a hastily scheduled event. They wanted to make sure that the series got in at least 15 races, but it also took place over only 2 days because it was rather hastily scheduled. So what we ended up getting in 2020 was all practices, the qualifying, and the race taking place on Saturday and Sunday. Normally, practices take place on Friday with qualifying on Saturday, then the race on Sunday. So in a recent interview where new Formula One CEO Stefano Domenicali was basically hit with a whole bunch of questions in rapid-fire succession, one of the questions came about, what about in the future just having 2-day weekends? The drivers actually seemed to kind of like it. Well, Stefano Domenicali said, no, not anytime in the future if he and the tracks that Formula One runs on have anything to say about it. Domenicali added that in talking with the promoters and track officials around the world, they prefer the 3-day format. Yes, there's a money issue here. It helps maximize ticket sales and merchandise revenue because, again, Friday is when you get all 3 practice sessions. People come in, they watch. They buy stuff.
But if countries are being boneheaded and not letting people in, you're not making your ticket sales and revenue.
Exactly. I get the funny feeling this is going to be something that will be revisited.
Yep.
Probably not all that long.
Q1 is complete.
Q1 is complete and...
Bottom 5 has changed.
Oh, okay.
One of the 5 has changed. Raikkonen still 16th.
Mm-hmm.
Giovinazzi now 17th.
Hello.
The dynamic duo of Schumacher and Mazepin 18th and 19th.
And, of course,
Tsunoda.
Yuki Tsunoda out. All
Nicholas Latifi shot from 19th to 18th to 12th.
Whoa. Nice jump. Of course, he's going to need an even bigger jump because to get past Q2, he's got to be in the top 10.
Uh-huh.
Where's his teammate, George Russell?
That'd be 14th.
Okay. Williams is showing a slight heartbeat.
They're showing a glimmer of hope.
We'll see.
Both F1 on Twitter. Both Williams racing cars make it through to Q2 for the first time since the Hungaroring of 2020.
As we said, they're showing a slight heartbeat.
They are.
And then there's the Miami Grand Prix in Formula One, which has probably gone through at least 3 lives I can think of. And yet it's got another heartbeat.
I don't know who's going through more lives. The Nashville Fairgrounds or the Miami F1 Grand Prix?
It's pretty close, isn't it?
It's real close.
We talked about it on the show last week. Miami City Council was slated to vote this past Wednesday about the possibility of green or red lighting a proposed Formula One race in the Miami Gardens area again. They would use Hard Rock Stadium as a backdrop. We've detailed all that stuff. Well, the council voted in favor of a benefits package for the area detailed in what they call a Memorandum of Understanding, Memo of Understanding, or MOU. It outlines what would be expected of Formula One, Hard Rock Stadium, the owner of the stadium, and the NFL's Miami Dolphins, Stephen Ross, to be able to put that race on, because Stephen Ross is a major backer of this particular race. He would, for all intents and purposes, be called the promoter. Here's what we do know about the MOU, this Memorandum of Understanding. There's a requirement that no part of the proposed race course include streets. So in other words, Northwest 199th Street or Northwest 27th Avenue, of which at least one had been included on one proposed layout of the track, nope, can't use it now. So it keeps the entire race in the parking lot of the stadium.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong,
Okay.
but when you go to an F1 race
Yes.
in a city,
Correct.
do you not expect to see racers on the streets of that city?
Usually.
Well, of course.
But in this case,
It's a street race, right?
yes, this would be considered a street race. This is not a road course. This is not a dedicated road course. This would be considered a street race. But you can't use one of the streets. You have to keep it in the parking lot, which I've seen an aerial view of Hard Rock Stadium. It's got a fairly decent-sized parking lot, for whatever it's worth,
Yeah, I've got the layout of the track, proposed layout.
without using the street.
Yep.
Okay.
It's all encompasses the parking lot and the surrounding parking lots of Hard Rock Stadium.
Do they go around the stadium?
They do.
Okay.
Where
Because I think that was something I think that they weren't doing in one layout that was proposed. They were keeping it all on one side for whatever reason. I'm not sure why.
there's one real pretty long straight
Well, you gotta have them get up to speed at some point.
that, but it's really vague, like a lot of other things we dealt with this week.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to tell which side of the which side of the track that the start finish line's on. If it's on
Not
the
sure about that
northern
either.
side or the southern side of the stadium.
I don't
'Cause
know.
there's two lines marked. I'm gonna say it's gonna be on the northern side.
Okay.
Let's see. If it's that, it's a 1, 2, 3 sweep. 1, 2, 3. One long sweeping turn. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17.
You can.
Looks like an 18 turn course.
Which you figure probably, give or take, 2 miles.
Probably.
Yeah. Give or take about 2 miles. Oh, but wait. Oh, yes, there is more. Here's more of the Memo of Understanding. No racing activity can begin earlier than 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time on a school day. Remember, 3-day weekends. Practice coming in on Friday, but they can't start practicing until 2:30 in the afternoon, Friday afternoon. Now,
Dismiss school,
that's right.
perhaps. Maybe.
Let's tighten that window, shall we? Because, further noted, no track action can start after sunset in the city. So, in other words, you might not get all 3 practice sessions in on Friday. You might only get 2 practice sessions in on Friday and have to do the 3rd practice session on Saturday and then do qualifying. Just saying. And no nighttime racing. No nighttime racing. Mayor Rodney Harris, who had been a councilman the first time this came up for a vote when he voted no, was actually now one of the yes votes in a 5-2 approval by the Miami City Council. They also ensured that the race promoter would continue to be part of the Miami community. They are requiring the promoter to provide $5 million in funding to community benefits programs run by the city over the next decade, one of which would include a Formula One in Schools STEM program at no cost to the city, paid internships for high school and college students to be able to work the race, and discounted tickets for Miami residents. Exactly how much said discount might be, nobody really knows.
I'd be willing to move to Miami for a week.
Depends on when they schedule it.
Good point.
See, I can remember this, and I remember it very, very well. 2019, I flew down before Matt did for the weekend that we worked Ford Championship weekend, the last weekend when it was in Miami, 2019. And it got nice by the time he got there.
Oh, yeah.
Saturday and Sunday were beautiful. Low humidity, temperatures maybe mid-80s at the highs.
Yeah.
Remember, this
low
is
to mid 80s.
Remember, this is November of 2019. I left here, and I think the high when I left here was about 65, maybe 70.
Roughly, because when I flew out that afternoon, it had dropped into the high 50s.
Yeah. And literally no humidity. I got to Florida, and I thought we were back in August in Alabama. I got off the plane, and I immediately, once I got out into the open, and by the way, Miami's probably one of the weirdest places I've ever seen. I got off the plane in Miami. I had to walk to a tram, take the tram to get to the main terminal so that I could exit the terminal itself, and then had to walk approximately a mile to a mile and a half to get to the rental car counter.
It wasn't that way in Fort Lauderdale. He flew to Miami. I flew into Fort Lauderdale.
I didn't have the choice. They set the ticket up for me. Admit to that.
I went with Southwest, and they didn't fly into Miami International, so I had to go Fort Lauderdale.
So I'm thinking, okay, can't be all that bad. I get the keys and everything. I go out into the garage area, which is my first note of what the environment of Miami feels like. And I probably hadn't taken 5 steps out of the rental car area, and I started sweating. It was hot, it was humid, it was sticky, and it was still. I tried to open up the windows in the car and thinking it might cool off. Nope. That lasted about 5 seconds before I rolled them back up and hit the air conditioner.
But on the way back to the hotel, before we go to break, this is the funny part. This is the funny part. When they're putting out promos over the radio from the local meteorologist.
Yes.
I think it was a local ABC affiliate.
Yes.
To where they're giving out
I remember what he's talking.
iguana something with iguana.
Yeah.
A chill warning or something.
Oh yeah. The person doing the weather forecast said, maybe get your jackets out. And Matt and I just looked at each other and went, what?
Because the low is going to be 61. Get your jackets out.
For 61.
And watch for iguanas falling out of trees.
Here in Alabama, we're like 61 and no humidity. Yeah! Party time. Shorts and short sleeves.
Yeah,
and we're celebrating.
Yeah, we're jumping up and down.
And they're getting their jackets out in Miami. Yeah, different places. We got to take a break. When we come back, we'll continue with, we'll wrap up Formula One news with Fernando Alonso. He's been working on a book. You don't expect it anytime soon. We'll tell you all about it next on CRN.
Don't touch that dial. The Championship Racing Network will be right back.
There's no need to drive all the way to Birmingham to buy your fish.
Wow, they made several of them.
Find it all at the Loft
Cool.
at Bucks Island on Highway 77 in Southside, Alabama. Rods, reel, tackle, clothing, they've got it all. For bass, crappie, it doesn't matter. Whether you're just a weekend fisherman or one that's very serious about it, you'll find everything you're looking for at the Loft at Bucks Island, Highway 77 South in Southside, Alabama.
When severe weather's at its worst,
Early warnings save lives.
introducing WVTM 13 Live Doppler.
It sees the storms first.
Why
were you moving the camera?
Do what?
Why'd you move the camera?
Because I can.
Oh, okay.
I think it's a better shot.
Okay.
Hey, True, right now, look at severe weather. Giving you more time to get to see WVTM 13 live Doppler, only on today's WVTM 13 News.
Gets most of the banner in.
Ah. Yeah, judging by what I'm seeing behind me, it doesn't get that much of
Patterson 10.
Pardon?
Patterson 10.
Cool. Very cool. Very cool.
I can't see comments on Facebook. How does it? Do you guys see?
It's good.
I'm just spot checking, it's all good.
I've seen 2 or 3 comments on there.
Yes, I
Michael, Mr. Plow, and Chi-Town Mark. At the very least. Those are the ones that I just saw. And good morning, guys.
Be interested to see YouTube. Any comments there? I don't see. There's nobody on YouTube yet.
Ah. Well, it is new. So we'll just keep linking to it. See what happens.
Fuel only. Go, go, go. We're back to the Championship Racing Network.
And welcome back in. I'm Steve West with Matt Nicholson, John Myers, and it is Indycar racing weekend here in the state of Alabama. They're at Barbara Motorsports Park to officially begin their 2021 racing season. We'll get into IndyCar news coming up a little bit later on. I teased just before the break that Fernando Alonso's writing a book. It's being delayed. See, he's back in Formula One after 2 years of being out of the sport, and during that off time, he had been working with a writer on a biography, which was intended at one time to come out at the end of 2018. Then it got pushed back so they could include the attempts at the 24 Hours Le Mans and the Indy 500. Well, with his return to Formula One, it has been pushed back again. He continues to promise, Alonso does, that the book is going to be the truth about his career, the good and the bad both. Championship winning times at Renault, is more uneven times running for McLaren in the 2007 season, for example. And he also noted that the book is still in the works, so it is a work in progress. He said this, quote, "I've been working on the book for a couple of years already. We postponed it for quite some time now because I realized that I kept racing in different categories and am now back in F1. So I will do it when I stop." Keep those words in mind. I will do it when I stop, and I can tell my own experiences and my own truth of things. Because if the book comes out while I'm racing, then maybe it's a little bit strange. So I prefer to finish and then tell my experience of life in motor racing. In other words, if I put out my tell-all book now, I'm going to tick off people on the Formula One grid, and they're going to wreck me.
Survey says,
Ding.
ding.
The book is tentatively titled Racer, with the note that the title could change. The provisional release date, also subject, read likely, to change, is September 2022. Let's go back to the words where I told you a little bit earlier, where Fernando Alonso said, "So I will do it," the book, "when I stop." September 2022 seems more than likely to change, considering the fact that in September of 2022, Formula One's 2022 season will still be going on because it won't end until November. We'll see, shall we? Let's turn our attention over to the NASCAR Cup Series, shall we? Now, mentioned at Speed Weeks in Alabama. Barbara Motorsports Park this weekend for open wheels. Next weekend, Talladega for NASCAR. Cup Series, when they do come to Talladega, going to feature something we haven't seen since Danica Patrick last raced in 2018. We're going to get a female starting the Cup Series race. Jennifer Jo Cobb, NASCAR veteran known for owning her own team in the Camping World Truck Series, has been tabbed by Rick Ware Racing to pilot their number 15 a week from tomorrow, which means, Matt,
Where do you want me to start?
right at the beginning / end, which will happen fairly quick.
Probably.
And this is not a comment, by the way, on Jennifer Jo Cobb's ability to race a car.
No, not at all. It stinks on her part because she doesn't have an opportunity to make her Cup debut in a better caliber car.
Yeah,
It absolutely just stinks.
I agree.
But if she just finishes,
Which
that's a plus.
I've seen her, and she has a great ability. Even if
She does.
Even if the equipment that she has is subpar, she has the ability to take care of it. She has shown that in spades.
She does.
She'll
But
stay out of trouble.
yeah, because the four Rick
It's easy for you to say.
Ware cars will link up. By lap 5, they will be half of the straightaway, if not the full length of the Alabama Game super stretch behind the main pack. They will lag and ride, and by the end of stage 1, they will be officially one lap down. Mark my words, at 7:50 a.m. at 4/17/2021. Okay, and then they'll be fighting to get the lead lucky dog back one lap at a time,
Yeah.
one caution at a time. Excuse
Right.
me. And then eventually the big wreck will happen with about probably 15 laps to 10 to go, and then poof, here they'll be.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh, Rick Ware cars got top 10s. Gee, I wonder why.
Unless it's
Sorry.
because the field is trying to lap them and they all wad up while they're trying to lap the Rick Ware racing cars, which I hope that doesn't happen. Cobb said of her opportunity next weekend, quote, "I've got a long history with RWR and a lot of respect for this organization. This team has a lot of heart and reminds me of my small team competing against such mammoth organizations. I'm proud of what they have accomplished. I want nothing more than to make the team, Arrowhead Brass, and all my sponsors and supporters proud of this effort." Now, Cobb is now 47, and barring something very unexpected, going to be the oldest starter in the Cup Series race next weekend, but Ware sees that as something of a positive. Noting Cobb's experience, he said this, quote, "Being a female in a male-dominated sport is not an easy task, especially for as long as Jennifer has been competing in NASCAR. I hope that she has a successful first NASCAR Cup Series debut." Kind of redundant. Thank you from the Department of Redundancy Department. She has 5 starts and 6 truck races this year. Best finish, Daytona, season opener. She finished 19th.
I hope she has a better finish and a better result than what I foresee coming.
I agree.
If the car holds up and doesn't break and nothing mechanical failure happens, she'll take care of the car.
I'm hoping that gets her. I'm hoping she opens up some eyes to where it gets her a chance to get into, sorry, Rick Ware, better equipment at a Daytona or a Talladega later on this year.
Bingo.
And see what she really can do.
Bingo.
MBM Motorsports set to bring back the number 66 Ford Mustang next weekend at Talladega. They missed last weekend at Martinsville. They chose to skip this weekend at Richmond. According to team owner Carl Long, Timmy Hill going to be in the car next weekend at Talladega and is expected to run most of the next series of races. They have set their eyes on Circuit of the Americas, Charlotte, the All-Star Open at Texas. They're going to try and make the All-Star race. Nashville, Indy, Daytona, Bristol, the second Talladega race, Texas, Kansas, Martinsville, and Phoenix to round out the year. Now, a couple of notes here. Chad Fincham is expected to race at Nashville. And there are 2 other drivers, Stephen Light and Matt Jaskell, who could get in the car for a race or 2 during that schedule, Long added, but he didn't detail where that might be.
Q2 has ended.
Let's go back to Formula One for just a moment, shall we?
15-1.
Yes.
Alonso.
Ooh.
Latifi.
Okay.
Vettel.
Wow.
Russell.
This has been a bad start for Vettel with Aston Martin.
11th. Carlos Sainz.
That means a Williams car made the top 10.
No, they did not.
Did I miss Russell?
Russell was 12th.
Oh, okay. I missed that. I'm sorry.
Russell
Excuse
was
me.
12th. Your top 10. Stroll.
Mm-hmm.
Ocon.
Okay.
Ricciardo.
Wow. A little slower than what I would have expected.
Gasly.
Nice run for him.
Bottas.
Ooh, ouch.
Verstappen.
Huh.
Hamilton.
Oh, my gosh. Could we be set for an upset in Formula One qualifying? No, we still got Q3.
Leclerc. Norris.
Ferrari. Second, huh?
Perez.
Ferrari might have made themselves a pretty good choice in picking up Sergio Perez. What do you think?
I think Red Bull made a very wise choice.
I'm sorry, yeah, Red Bull.
Very
yeah,
wise.
Yeah, I think they did nice. Congratulations.
Yeah.
We'll get back to that when Q3 is done. Meanwhile, as John continues to play with fun little toys over there on our Facebook and YouTube feeds, we get back to NASCAR in the Cup Series, where Just before the race at Martinsville, Trackhouse Racing lost their crew chief, Travis Mack. Mack was dinged for ballast found outside the approved container. In other words, he put the ballast in the wrong place. Mack was immediately ejected for the weekend. Daniel Suarez, the driver, had to start the race at the back of the field. On Tuesday, NASCAR handed out more punishment. They docked the team 10 owner points and Suarez 10 championship points. On a brighter note, as a matter of fact, it's bright orange, the Stewart-Haas Racing number 14, driven by Chase Briscoe, set to feature a paint scheme that will honor the Ford Mustang in its 67 years of roaming the American auto landscape. That's this weekend. Seems that the very first Ford Mustang rolled off the assembly line April the 17th, 1964, and thus this is Global Mustang Week. Briscoe's car is set to commemorate it. It is a very bright car.
Extremely bright.
It's close to neon. Not quite.
Not far.
I was going to ask, can you see it in the dark?
Almost like that hat. If you want to show off the hat camera real quick. There we go. When the Cup Series rolls to Darlington Raceway for Throwback Weekend, they're going to be featuring a new title sponsor for the Cup Series race. Tire provider Goodyear is making the race the Goodyear 400. The tire maker, who produces more than 100,000 tires for NASCAR annually, is getting in on the throwback scheme as well. For the weekend, Goodyear is going to change their familiar Goodyear logo in yellow, paired with the Eagle logo in yellow on their current tires, to the old, and I don't know why they call it this, blue streak design. Goodyear is going to be the only word on the tire, and it'll be not in blue, in white, with the winged foot logo also appearing on the face of the tire, as they used it in the 1960s and 70s. About the time they started using the word Eagle on the tires was about 1981. It turned yellow in the 90s. Isn't it?
1994, if I'm not mistaken.
Sounds about right. Goodyear worked with NASCAR on dirt tires for Bristol recently. Now they're working with NASCAR on studded tires to run on ice. It's actually true, but this isn't scheduled for the Cup Series, at least not yet. They're talking about this for the NASCAR Euro Series. They did a test recently on France's Val Thorens racetrack. It took place late in March under some pretty tight wraps. In other words, we're just now getting word of this. According to NASCAR, just outfitting the regular Euro Series car with the studded tires actually made it quicker around the course than a specially prepared rear drive racer, and noted that it was very, very close in time around the track to an all-wheel drive racing prototype. I don't know whether this is something that we really want to deal with.
No, not at all.
I mean, we got to give them some time off during the, don't we? I mean, they have to have an off season.
Yeah, if we want a proverbial ice bowl to go to, we'll just get on the plane and go to France or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
Yeah, not really all that certain that we want to go all that much further.
Nope.
We've got the Xfinity Series, we got Camping World Truck Series news, NHRA, Indycar, and Formula E all still to get to. Wow. We're at the halfway point. I'd say we do it all in hour 2.
Let's go.
And still see if we can make our picks, too. Maybe, maybe not. We'll find out right after this. Thank you for checking us out. Hour 1 down, hour 2 next, right here on CRN.
Stay right here for more on the Championship Racing Network.
WTDR-FM, Talladega, Oxford, Anniston, and streaming
Where's the
live
trainer at?
24/7 or WTDRthunder.com. Alabama's
Can't wait to be rid of that trainer.
Nothing's confirmed yet, so he's up.
Mark's wife talking about the volume is a little bit low on the Facebook side.
All of the accessories from Yak Attack. Check out the great selection of kayaks today at Bugs Island, Highway 77 South.
You need to have the volume at 100% to hear you on the Facebook stream. That's all it says.
We can take care of that. Give me
A tick?
a tick or two. Yeah.
Let me get up here and try not to overdo it real quick.
I don't know yet till we get back. We're running off the cam mic right now.
Oh, that's true, too. We'll see.
I'm just afraid of overdriving it.
Yeah, because
I can't stand
if we overdrive it and it becomes distorted, no matter how much they turn the volume down, it'll still be distorted on
Yep.
our end. So we don't want to do that.
Can't wait.
Actually got a Saturday off.
4 tires and 2 cans of fuel, and we're back to more racing action on the Championship Racing Network.
Hey, welcome back in. Hope everything's going well with you. And if you missed hour number 1, where you been, man? We're on at 7 a.m. Central Time every weekend. Yep. I'm Steve West. That's Matt Nicholson over there, and running everything behind the scenes, but almost on camera. John Myers. Almost. We have gotten through Formula One and the NASCAR Cup Series. We're into the NASCAR Xfinity Series now. And as we noted in hour 1, when we did the race recaps, Josh Berry claiming his first ever win in the Xfinity Series competition last weekend. While he is not yet eligible, again, he would need a waiver, unlikely because it doesn't involve an injury, to get into the playoffs. He is eligible to claim a $100,000 bonus in the Dash for Cash program at Talladega. The others that are going to be gunning for that cash prize are Noah Gragson, Daniel Hemrick, and Brandon Jones. Now, initially, Berry was not slated to run all of that series races, the Dash for Cash program, but with the help of Tire Pros, Berry now has the sponsorship to run both Talladega and Dover. It'll be his first time at either of those tracks. Last month, Tire Pros and Junior Motorsports announced a 6-race deal where they were going to be on the hood for 4 of Berry's 6 races, but with the chance of the bonus, Tire Pros stepped up and helped out.
Yeah,
Good
they
for
stepped
them.
up. They stepped up and helped out after Marcus Lemonis jumped out and threw an offer on the table.
Hey, wait a minute. That's our guy.
Yeah, like, whoop, hold up.
But that's also a good thing, though.
Oh, yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? I mean, I see that as a good thing.
He threw it.
A little bit of pressure in there, but hey, if that's what it took to work, then good.
Yeah, he threw out a little bit of a bonus, I guess you could say, to where if he gets on the car, can't refer into Camping World, and he wins another race with Camping World on the car, he's automatically guaranteeing him 4 more races.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now we know why Tire Pro stepped up.
Uh-huh.
For the second Xfinity Series race in a row, remember the last time they raced was at Atlanta, a fight broke out between 2 drivers. Well, this time around, it was Greg Galding and Joe Graff Jr.
Back markers.
It all began on track when Galding got into Graff during the final stage, sent Graff's 07 SS Greenlight Racing spinning and slamming into the number 23 of Blaine Perkins, who was driving for Our Motorsports. Galding continued on. He finished 21st on the day. Graff later talked to SiriusXM Satellite Radio in a post-race interview, and once the race was complete, said this, that he walked over to Galding's garage area to discuss the incident. Yeah. Admitted that he said something that got under Galding's skin, and then the duo exchanged some punches before they ended up in a wrestling match on the ground. That was about the time NASCAR officials intervened and separated them. The two did agree on one thing. The wreck was intentional. Galding said it. Yep, spun him out. Apparently, they've been exchanging words previously. The funny thing was that Galding drove for SS Greenlight Racing in 2018 full-time and in 2019 on a part-time basis when he was a teammate of Joe Graff Jr. Galding did apologize to SS Greenlight Racing team owner Bobby Dotter, but basically told Joe Graff Jr. he could, well, take a long walk off a short pier. How's that?
Kids. Gosh.
I haven't heard anything about penalties. We didn't get any penalties after the one in Atlanta. I don't think we're going to get any this time.
Yeah, none whatsoever.
Yeah. Now, Dale Earnhardt Jr. We know this guy for, well, a lot. One of NASCAR's most popular drivers in its history. He's a NASCAR Hall of Famer. He's an NBC NASCAR analyst, and he's also a podcaster. We overlooked, however, in this particular situation until just now, his role as team owner in the Xfinity Series. Has he thought about expanding to the Cup Series? Previously, Junior said, nope, wasn't in the plans, not even in the realm of possibility. But as he has seen the progress of the next generation stock car, he's admitted that he and his sister, Kelly Earnhardt Miller, have discussed the possibility now of expanding into Cup Series ownership and what they would need to overcome to be able to do it. He'd said about the idea recently, quote, with the new car coming in, me and my sister have certainly talked a little bit about whether that presents an opportunity for Junior Motorsports to go into the Cup Series. I think the charter makes it a big challenge for us. That's a huge financial challenge for anybody trying to get involved in the Cup Series. But he admitted that through the cost savings that are being promised by the new car, it might actually somewhat offset the financial challenge, maybe just enough to make it a go. Don't expect it too soon, though. He added this, quote, we're not deep into conversation about it. So in other words, they've just mentioned it in the hallway. Hey, want to go Cup Series racing? Maybe not yet.
Yeah, this is basically where this stems from. I think it's really not so much more the next gen car. Excuse me.
Sure.
I almost said
Gen 7.
6.
Yeah, Gen 6 is what we're in now. Be
Yeah,
Gen
I
7.
almost said Gen 6. But I think it stems more from now that he's seen how the model of how Denny Hamlin and Joe Gibbs Racing are working together.
And then
because
there's
Ricky Hendrick has a stake in his team.
Yeah.
So he's saying if they can do it, we can do it.
Well, and it's not just them. I mean, you think about all of the ones that we've seen. Yes, the most notable example is Michael Jordan working with Denny Hamlin and that pair working with Joe Gibbs Racing.
Sure.
But you got Trackhouse Racing that's coming in. You got Live Fast Motorsports coming in. And they're doing it before you get to the next gen racer. I think he's looking at all that and he's starting to realize, you know what? It may be a now or never situation.
True. Very true.
So, fish or cut bait, man.
Yeah.
How's that? Speaking of making it into the Cup Series, we're about to see a driver get his first drive in a Cup Series car. We just talked about Jennifer Jo Cobb a little bit ago. Next weekend in our playground at Talladega Superspeedway, the son of Jeff Burton going to get into the Gaunt Brothers Racing number 96 Toyota Camry.
Talk about a baptism by fire.
Yeah, Burton is in Season 2 of Xfinity Series full-time competition with Joe Gibbs Racing. He won the 2020 Sunoco Rookie of the Year award in the process. Right now, he's third in points in Xfinity Series competition this year. This will mark the fourth time that the number 96 has been on the track this year. The first three times were with Ty Dillon behind the wheel. He didn't qualify for the Daytona 500. He did race at both the Daytona Road Course and I believe it was Homestead.
Bristol.
Oh, well, that's right. Thank you very
Bristol
much.
Dirt.
So this will be the fourth time it'll see the track. We haven't seen an entry list, so I don't know whether he's going to have to make his way into the Talladega race.
He should be locked because I don't see over 40 cars trying to attempt it.
I don't see it, but we haven't seen an official entry list.
Past couple of weeks has only been 37. I think 37, 38 maybe.
Yeah. So we'll see.
You add the 96 or 39 cars.
Yeah. We'll see.
So, yeah.
Officially, we'll know by next weekend, obviously. We turn our attention over to the Camping World Truck Series, where Sam Hunt Racing's hauler driver for the Camping World Truck Series number 26, Kurt Butcher, has been suspended indefinitely. He was found in violation of NASCAR's substance abuse policy. Butcher's going to have to undergo NASCAR's Road to Recovery program in order to be considered for reinstatement. Dude, you're driving an 18-wheeler. Well, you don't know what the substance was. They didn't say. But what are you doing, man?
It doesn't matter what the substance was. Just say no.
Again, we don't know whether it was something that might have been in an allergy pill or what. But either way, this is why NASCAR puts out, and all of the sports put out a list of the things that are banned. These are the things that will get you a suspension. And if you have any question at all, double check with somebody that knows. In other words, don't just go pick up. And I'm just going to use, again, I don't know whether it was an allergy medicine or whether he was, taking something much, much harder. But if you are walking into the local corner drugstore, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, or mom and pop drugstore, doesn't matter, and you're trying to pick up something because, my gosh, the pollen is just making my head explode.
Get a head cold. Yep.
If you have any question at all, go to the pharmacy and go, hey, does this have anything that could get me dinged by NASCAR?
I will say this: there are some over-the-counter stuff that give you false positives on, let's say, illegal substances.
Yes,
it will.
I'm living
I
proof.
have always thought that this list is a little bit too deep. Case in point.
Of the things that you could get in trouble for?
Case in point, exactly what
Okay.
he just said.
Yeah.
Exactly what he just said.
Yeah.
It needs to be hardcore, bottom line, clear-cut list, hardcore stuff that can impede your ability to perform at the racetrack, no matter what your duty is.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about a guy that is driving a team hauler vehicle. That's a massive vehicle. I wouldn't think that he'd be doing something I wouldn't think he'd be doing something terribly stupid. So that's why I'm wondering if this is something where he got into something that he didn't think was going to be a problem, but it turned out to be a problem because of what you just said.
A vitamin supplement can give you a false positive for something, I don't know, like meth.
I've heard of that.
Ask me how I know.
I was about to say,
I have heard of that.
Personal experience?
Ask me how I know. Exactly.
Yeah.
When I went for a drug test for my current job, went in, and the nurse comes back. She goes, "Are you taking any over-the-counter vitamins or supplements?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm taking this, this, and this." "Oh, okay."
And that explained it.
And I said, "Why?" She said, "Well, you came back positive for meth, but not the amphetamine part."
As in
like,
the part
what?
that has crystal on the beginning.
So,
Thanks.
so
That's
yes,
insane.
over-the-counter stuff can give you false positives.
Yeah, and I will vouch for John. I've known him for over 30 years now. I can tell you the man has never tried crystal meth, much less is hooked on it.
Never seen it. What are you talking about?
Well, there you go. How's that?
Now, unless we got a situation, a Spencer Gallagher type situation from Talladega a few years ago,
Wow.
that's much different.
Yeah.
We know what that was.
No, yeah.
But it needs to be a clear-cut bottom line list.
It does.
Hardcore stuff, which we know what the hardcore stuff is, but there needs to be a gray area with stuff that can trigger that.
Sure. Yeah, they need to be able to understand that. Again, we don't know what it was that he got nailed for.
Yeah.
We probably will not find out, and that's fine. But I do have to wonder. I mean, this is a guy who, he's gone through the training. He's got himself a CDL license. He's driving for. He's got one of the very few jobs in the world. He's driving for a race team in a hauler. I find it hard to believe he's going out there and trying something intentional.
You would have to be dumb to do that.
You'd have to be extremely stupid.
When you're driving a $3 to $5 million rig down the road with total price.
You'd have to pull up the hook.
Pretty much.
2-3's over.
Okay, hang on. Let's finish up since we're this close.
Just
We'll
let you
finish
know.
up Truck Series news. Later today, when the Camping World Truck Series takes to the track at Richmond, the number 40 Nice Motorsports entry driven by Ryan Truex going to have more than Truex's name on board. It's actually also going to include Marquis Spa's paint scheme being featured on the truck and about 900 names from Make-A-Wish recipients. The names are going to be featured on the bed cover of the truck. It's a good-looking paint scheme.
It is.
And in some cases, like, the names have to be really, really small to get them all in because it's on the what we would call a bed cover of a traditional pickup truck. They're actually pretty good size. You can read them.
Yep.
When the Truck Series rolls to Knoxville Raceway in Iowa later on this year, July specifically, Kyle Busch Motorsports has decided not to put Kyle Busch in the number 51 Toyota Tundra.
Smart move.
They're putting a local driver in the number 51 Toyota Tundra. KBM has announced plans to put 5-time Knoxville track champion Brian Brown, also known as Blackjack Brian, into the truck. They'll be carrying sponsorship from the Midwestern convenience store chain Casey's General Store, which, in case you have never heard of them, they happen to be the 4th largest convenience store chain in the United States at this time. I've been to a couple of them. They're pretty nice. Brown is a 42-year-old Missouri native. He's got 52 career wins and 4 track titles in the 410 sprint car division. Has another track championship and 16 wins in the 360 division, in addition to several second-place finishes in track competition. He might know how to get around this course.
Just a little bit.
In other words, watch out for him. Even though he's 42, he's probably going to take some people to school.
This is now This is officially the dark horse pick for me for Knoxville truck racing.
I might go leader in the clubhouse. I might just go leader in the clubhouse.
I'm saying
he is somebody I've definitely got to consider for that.
I'm saying dark horses because you don't know who else is going to come out of the woodworks.
I get it,
Until
but I mean, with his resume at that track, Wow.
with his World of Outlaws team that he runs the World of Outlaws Sprint Car division. There's a little bit of a caveat to this right here. He has sponsorship as well from Rowdy Energy.
That is true.
He's one of the Rowdy Energy athletes with himself and Rico Abreu.
Yes.
So I'm not going to put it out of the realm of possibility that KBM puts a fourth truck on the track for Rico Abreu.
I can see that.
I'm not putting it out of the realm of possibility.
I can see that. You ready to change the logo again there, John? All right, change the logo because we're going to talk Q3. Here's the final lineup for tomorrow morning's Formula One race.
From 10 to 1, Lance Stroll posted no time. Esteban,
Wow, he didn't even.
didn't even take a lap.
Why not?
Esteban Ocon, 9th.
Okay.
7/10, right at 0.8 of a second off the pace. 8th, Valtteri Bottas, .487.
Still.
Lando Norris, 7th, .464.
For a guy who was leading practice at one point in time.
Daniel Ricciardo, 6th, .415.
That's slower than I would have thought, too.
Pierre Gasly, 5th,
Okay.
.379.
Pretty good run for Beer.
Charles Leclerc, 4th, .329.
Good run for Ferrari.
Max Verstappen, 3rd, .087.
Stepped it up when he needed to.
2nd, Sergio Perez, .035.
Max Verstappen getting some challenge for top slot at Red Bull.
And I'll give you one guess on the pole sitter, and the first two don't count.
Yeah, the guy who always seems to step it up when it matters.
Sir Lewis.
Sir Lewis Hamilton. Still not used to that.
Yep.
All right, change the logo again. We're going to NASCAR, just in general. Work is set to begin in earnest on the famed Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. Of course, we've talked about this. Speedway Motorsports Incorporated, Bristol Motor Speedway, going to be helping in working on the improved. I will not say new and improved because, let's face it, Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway has been there a long time. So it's not new and improved. It will just be improved. New and improved bugs me. I mean, here's the thing. If your product is new, how could it be improved? If your product is old, how can it be new and improved? You either improved it or it's brand new. I know, it's semantics, and I hate it. John was thinking about saying something. I waited. He didn't. The plan is to refurbish the 6/10 of a mile long facility, bring it, and they want to bring NASCAR back. Talking about the top levels of NASCAR for the first time in 2 decades. But even if the work began earlier this week, it didn't. It is feared that it would not be done in time to be able to host NASCAR in 2022. A Nashville Fair Board Commissioner, Jason Bergeron, said during the meeting this past week that the time frame for getting the details on the new plans, set to be unveiled in a meeting May 11th, still has yet to get any public input. So they got to get public input, then they got to get board approved before the work could begin, raising serious doubts about NASCAR coming there in 2022. Bergeron's concerns prompted him to propose to the board extending the time that the public could be able to comment on the plans through September instead of attempting to rush things through by the end of May. Bergeron added when he talked to the board, quote, "I had not anticipated the amount of fury," oh, we've talked about this, that would come from the public on this presentation. That's really my driving concern, that we need to have more robust public engagement after we have the full details of the plan presented. Another commissioner, one Dr. Sherry Weiner, noted a desire for more information, saying, quote, "We don't have enough information at this point to solidify a timeline."
Be nice, Steve.
I'm just noting a name. That's all.
Does the name fit?
Yes.
Well, you know. Then there's a third commissioner, Caleb Hemmer. Hemmer said that he wants to keep on the initial schedule. Hemmer added this, quote, "I think the mayor's proposed this aggressive schedule and that we need to do our best to try to stick to that. I think having at least the information and starting point in May will help us at least get our heads around what the actual schedule should be after that in the public engagement." I will let you take it over before we talk about what the mayor and the president, Marcus Smith of Speedway Motorsports Incorporated, are talking about when it comes to the plans.
A quote from the movie Talladega Nights, where you've got
here we go.
slingshot engage, soapbox engage.
Uh-huh.
I listened to some video clips and sound clips from a public hearing that they had in regards to this. I'm going to say this in full, say this as a teaser before we have to take a break. There are some absolute lack of common sense individuals, and that's the rated G version of the way to say it. I'm not going to say absolute.
It's a family
you,
show.
you take whatever you want to visualize that.
Yeah.
There's some people that don't have common sense up there.
I agree.
Why, you ask? I think I'll elaborate more after we take a break.
Let's go ahead and take that break. We'll come back. We'll talk about some of the plans as they have been seen by the mayor and Speedway Motorsports Incorporated. We haven't had the chance to see them just yet. We're hoping to soon. We'll let you know more about that and let Matt get back up on his soapbox right after this on CRN.
We will be right back with more on the Championship Racing Network.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say
There's no
outright
need to
idiot
drive
for
all the way
morons.
to Birmingham
Other
to
would
buy
be
your
nice.
fishing tackle. You'll find it all at
Just
the
because I woke up in a
and
nice
Bucks
mood.
Island.
Oh.
Highway 77 in Southside Alabama.
Did she say that the sound's
Rod,
better?
reel, tackle,
Yeah.
clothing, they've got it all. For bass, crappie,
Sweet.
it doesn't matter.
It's not
Whether
clipped
you're
or
just a
anything, is it?
weekend fisherman or one that's very serious about it, you'll find everything you're looking for at the Loft at Bucks Island, Highway 77 South in Southside, Alabama.
We save big money with our
It's just such a hassle to
use the cash to take a family vacation.
Lock it in just right.
lock it in just right. Because there's so many variables.
Sure, customers can save big money with
I fight with that on a weekly basis.
They'll probably use it for things like the mortgage and groceries, or even a travel magazine, so at least they can see pictures of Hawaii. Yes, say hello to those beautiful Hawaiian beaches in that magazine. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Spring is here, and so is
You got a potentiometer here.
where we got
You got one there.
finally get outside, get to work, and bring on spring.
And you got one here.
With high quality earth grow and Figaro mulch. Get 5 bags for just $10 in store and online. Spring has finally sprung, and it's time to get out and do more for less. Bring on the spring savings at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Limit 75 per customer. Color selection varies by store while supplies last. Continental US only. Designer face masks. DIY.
God, I hate that commercial set.
Never thought possible. Here's one.
You never know when it's going to end.
Dennis Haysbert,
Do what?
the actor Dennis Haysbert.
Oh.
Pedro Serrano.
Going back to NASCAR.
Yeah, sticking with NASCAR for now.
Here we go.
And back out to the track for more action on the Championship Racing Network.
Soapbox, one Matt Nicholson. Round 2, ding.
So I elaborated on the people with a lack of common sense in the area. First off, they're not going to be racing 365 days a year. There was a lady that actually said that, and there is a sound clip out
Really?
there where she thinks they're going to be racing. We just don't need that all year long. We just don't need all the sound and everything doing all of that. Okay, first off, there's construction going on a 20-something thousand seat stadium right there close to you. Okay. Secondly,
That's going to be going on for a lot longer than what the
a
racing
lot
will be.
longer. Secondly, the racetrack was there before you, sugar.
That's true.
The racetrack was there way before you were.
Mhm.
So you're impeding on their territory, not yours.
Yeah, you're the one that chose to buy a house within earshot of Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway.
So is this the whiner we're talking about here?
No.
No,
No,
not
this
the
is just one of the people that probably showed up at the city council meeting at some point in time and talked to the city council previously.
Just sounds like the whiner. Got you.
But we got people complaining about this, and Bristol has clearly said, and SMI in Bristol has clearly said, noise mitigation is
Yes.
on the agenda to control that.
Mhm.
They get it. They want to get it to where it's mitigated. But have we heard any complaints whatsoever about the, what would you say, probably less than 2 miles maybe? If not closer? 2 miles, give or take. that there's going to be a city street course conducted and the city will be shut down for a period of time?
Yeah. No,
Have we heard any complaints of that?
Not
No,
yet.
not at all.
And by the way, in case you're not sure of when Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway actually opened, it first opened up. It broke ground and opened in 1904. And it did a first major renovation in 1958. I would say it's real safe to assume that the lady that got up and stood up in front of the city council and started talking wasn't living around Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway in 1904 or 1958.
And I'm sure when Marcus Smith, Jerry Caldwell, the mayor, and some of the others heard that statement, they probably
rolled their eyes.
It was probably
Subtly.
I would picture a scene off of the movie of George of the Jungle, where the three tour guides this is where we stand and collectively throw our heads back and laughing. Ready, go, ha ha, you know, like that.
Mm-hmm.
Probably that's what happened.
Again,
I mean,
you moved into the area. Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway has been in pretty solid operation, despite the fact that NASCAR hasn't been there, in what, 20 years?
19, I think the last year there was
99, 2000?
99, 2000.
99, 2000, so 20, 21 years. Despite not having NASCAR there in a couple of decades, they've been racing at that track pretty regularly.
I think they race there once a month.
You chose to buy a residence within earshot of an active racetrack. I don't need to go any further.
No.
I mean,
You really don't.
if you bought your house within earshot, technically, of a defunct racetrack, I could see where you might have a complaint if they decided to go back to racing.
Different story, yeah.
This has been, for a century, with some off years, probably World War II and World War I, an active racetrack. Consistently. And you bought your house there.
Yeah.
What did you think was going to happen?
I mean, you know, this is a different scenario. I mean, if you know, North Wilkesboro ever come back to life, the people that live actually right there within a stone's throw of the front gate would probably sit on their front porches with their chairs and a glass of iced tea and just listen to the music and have no complaints.
I'd be one of them.
I'd be the second one.
As for the mayor, John Cooper, and Speedway Motorsports Incorporated president Marcus Smith, they have both said that they are big on the plans that they have seen for the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, noting that it will not only make it a nicer venue for racing, but for many other types of events as well. They think that this works well with the city of Nashville's growing reputation as an entertainment city, building upon not only being the home of country music, but not limited to that.
It really would revitalize that neighborhood.
It would. You and I have been
total
there.
revitalization.
We were there a couple of years. It showed up in my memories on social media not that long ago when we were up there at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. Nice little facility, kind of a little bit of a dilapidated neighborhood. They could use the tax revenue.
Yeah, it could revitalize that neighborhood in big ways.
They really could.
Yep.
As for the track largely tasked with bringing Nashville up to date, Bristol Motor Speedway, they're not just standing still, they're also thinking of something big. We mentioned this a little bit within the last, week or two. They're talking about putting a roof over Bristol Motor Speedway. So it comes down to this. Could it actually be retrofitted to have a roof? Turns out, according to one sports stadium architect expert, yeah, it could, with a big price tag attached. Brandon Flowers is the sports stadium architect expert. He's a professor of architecture at Ohio State University. The Ohio State University, who said that a roof that did not completely enclose the stadium, in other words, allowed for noise and exhaust emissions to escape and bring in some fresh air, Flowers puts the price tag at a minimum entry-level price point of $80 million.
Not a surprise.
$80 million.
In his best Austin Powers impression, Flowers cautioned that he wouldn't want to be the first to try it. He called this move high risk, but he did say it could benefit NASCAR, as with a cover or a roof over it, it could allow for some as he put it, creative scheduling. We'll see. NASCAR's also been getting some pressure from just about every team and sponsor in the top levels of the sport, pressing as to when the infield might be opened back up for VIPs and other special guests. We haven't been able to see them really since, well, stupid COVID. NASCAR took some time. They looked into the situation, and they have decided that they will allow each team and each manufacturer a handful of guests. They didn't specify exactly how many per. They did state that all of them must be fully vaccinated. Those guests will be allowed in the garage and the pit areas, but not in the hauler lot. No driver meetings, and they will not be allowed on pit road just before the race, where they had been allowed prior to stupid COVID. So there are still rules being implemented, whether you like it or not.
Theater.
In a lot of ways, yes, it is.
Theater.
I mean, on top of that, I mentioned this during Indycar, but I'm going to go ahead and mention it now. Heading into this weekend, and I mean, I stopped at a place that was right on the exit with Barber Motorsports Park on my way over here this morning. They're not advertisers, so I'm not going to let you know, but you probably already figured out who I'm talking about. I stopped there. As I was leaving, walking in was an entire crew from one of the Indy Lights teams, because they were all dressed in the same exact undershirt, which had Indy Lights big and emblazoned on there. IndyCar said that by this weekend at Barber Motorsports Park, 90% of the teams and their personnel will have been vaccinated. But again, this is largely theater, because if you look at numbers, and let's be realistic about the numbers, I know that there are people, I am one of them, that know people that lost their lives to COVID. I'm not trying to downplay the seriousness of it if you get it. But what are the real chances that you get it? What are the real chances that if you do get it, you actually need to go into the hospital? Hospitalizations from COVID are between 1% and 5% of those who contract COVID-19. Of the population as a whole, less. It was what, last I saw, 5 million?
Yes. Full pit engaged.
How many people we got in this country now?
335 million?
I'll drop it down. Last I heard, reliably, it was 325. We don't even have 10 million people that have gotten it?
Yeah.
Look at the percentages, folks.
And look at the states that are operating business as usual.
Texas, Florida, Alabama.
And right there behind them. And look what's happening.
And then look at the ones that have been so all fired up on making sure that nobody gets out, nobody does anything, and oh my gosh, you got to wear your mask all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I don't care whether you're by yourself or not.
California, Michigan, New York, Pennsylvania.
And look at their percentage.
Yeah. Canada. Yeah. Who's laughing now?
John is.
Yep.
Let's change tactics and get back to what we do best, racing.
Yep.
To the Superstar Racing Experience, or the SRX series. I'm not going to tell you what John called it.
Just to be clear, that was not me. That was my phone and the stupid autocorrect.
Sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Superstar Racing Experience, or SRX, now knows who's going to be covering their races. We talked about this. CBS has the television rights. They've prepared their 6-week slate of Saturday primetime broadcasts in June and July. CBS now has told us who their announcers are going to be.
And they nailed this right here.
I think they did too. CBS has hired veteran motorsports announcer Alan Bestwick to be their lead race announcer. Good move. Another veteran motorsports broadcaster to do the pre- and post-race shows, Lindsay Zarniak. She's been known to do things like the Indy 500.
Yeah.
Brad Dougherty of JTG Dougherty Racing and a former commentator on ESPN, currently working for NBC, will be seconded to CBS, joining as a, quote, roaming analyst, unquote. I don't know what roaming analyst means.
I don't know either.
I would have thought analyst in the booth, or maybe in the booth next door too.
Right.
But hey, I don't know. Matt Yoakum, oh, thank you for bringing him back. Matt Yoakum comes in as a pit reporter. And then we got 3 driver analysts. all with IndyCar ties. Danica Patrick, James Hinchcliffe, and Dario Franchitti. Yeah, that's a good lineup. Congratulations, CBS. You did it right.
Yep. They got that.
Yeah,
They
did.
got it. They nailed it, and then some.
Yes, indeed.
Let's see here. Of the schedule, how the driver analysts are going to work. Here we go. All right. For the June 12th and June 19th race,
That's Stafford and
Knoxville.
Knoxville. Okay.
Danica Patrick will be the driver analyst.
Okay.
Hinchcliffe will join at Eldora and Nashville.
Okay.
Franchitti will join.
So he gets Eldora and he gets the season finale because if I remember right, the season finale is at Nashville.
Yes.
Okay.
Franchitti will get Lucas Oil Raceway and Slinger Speedway.
Dario knows a little bit about Indy. Lucas Oil. A little bit. Yeah, he's good for that.
Could this be
Like it.
Here's my question. Could CBS be priming themselves for when a potential television contract expires?
Well, and understand this. I mean, Alan Bestwick and Lindsay Zarniak both have worked in the past. I mean, they were probably best known for working races for ABC/ESPN.
They did NASCAR on TNT as well.
To me, I think CBS, I don't know whether they've hired them away or whether they've been seconded. I get the funny feeling they've probably been hired away. And if I'm CBS, yeah, I'm thinking about it because if you think about iconic races in the history, I'm not talking about a season or a series. I'm talking about an iconic race. One of the top ones, if not the top one that'll come to mind of the people that are listening to the show is what? The 1979 Daytona 500.
Yep.
That was the first ever flag-to-flag live broadcast of a NASCAR race ever, and it happened on CBS. CBS is losing, in a lot of cases, a lot of things. They're about to lose, in a couple of years, they're about to lose the SEC. It's going totally to ABC, ESPN. They've been losing a heck of a lot more. Really, all CBS has now, and this is not insignificant, but all CBS has now, in the grand scheme of things, is NCAA basketball and NFL.
They got the Masters as well. That's it.
That's true. But, again, when you're talking about long-term,
Oh,
Masters
right.
is a one-time event.
Right.
As big as it is. For them to get NASCAR would be huge. And quite frankly, considering what I've seen out of NBC, it'd be a massive improvement. Because I'm sorry, I've said this before, I'll say it again. I'm not impressed with NBC's presentation of NASCAR. I'm just not. There are aspects of it that I like. Their lead announcer, fine. Not big on their analysts. I'm just not big on their presentation as a whole. I have been on the record on more than one occasion, not just when it comes to NASCAR, but to IndyCar as well. I have questioned very, very loudly, very, very blatantly, and very, very much up front their choice of what network to put what race on.
True.
To me, they just make mind-boggling, highly baffling decisions when it comes to that. CBS isn't going to do that. Yes, they have the CBS Sports Network, which I'm sure that they would love to get on more cable systems. But do you honestly think that CBS is stupid enough, for example, to put the final race at Long Beach, using IndyCar for the example here, do you think CBS would be stupid enough to put on the CBS Sports Network the Long Beach Grand Prix, which is the second crown jewel in IndyCar season, which also this year doubles as their season finale, where they're going to hoist the title with the championship winner? No, CBS is not that galactically stupid. And understand, we're 45 miles away from the exit where NBC is setting up this weekend to air IndyCar. So I hope somebody's listening to me. I really do. Because again, whoever made your decision to put the season finale of the series that you're airing this weekend on the network that you're going to kill on championship weekend, they're galactically stupid. CBS wouldn't do that.
No. And it would be a total disservice if CBS did come back if Ken Squire did not voice over the opening.
Please. Wouldn't that be great?
That'd be awesome.
Fantastic. Where do we sit? Are we going to take a break? Yep. When we come back, I say we go drag racing. We're going to do that right after this on CRN.
Don't touch that dial. The Championship Racing Network will be right back.
Got to do Ox when we come back immediately, okay, John?
Yeah, I thought you were going to it first.
Nah.
That's what took me so long. I had to backpedal.
Whether you want one just to fiddle around and play on the water or do some serious fishing, you'll find it at Bucks Island, Jackson, Obi, and of course all of the accessories.
I was sitting with the NHRA and then you wanted to go to break. I'm like, okay. You go to Ox and then you go to break. No.
I was gonna try to
This
go to
report
Barbara
is
tomorrow.
service of the area
You know what?
agency on
I was
aging.
gonna try to go to
Older
Barbara
Alabamians have to choose
I'm just going to have to sit over there in Mike's office and just use the clicker and go back and forth between Fox and NBC watching Richmond and Barber.
may be available. Call the area agency on
find
aging
tickets on
at
Saturday
1-800-AGE line.
I mean, they sold out, and congratulations to everybody who's going that made this a big success. But Barber sold out of the IndyCar tickets weeks ago, and I love it. I think it's great for the event.
It's a food stamp
Got stuff
program
to do
for
this
senior
afternoon.
citizens.
I would go and watch practice and qualifying, but I just got too much to do this afternoon.
Yeah.
I'm going home back to sleep.
I'm going to go sleep for a while, and if Mother Nature continues to cooperate, I get to mow the yard. Yay!
Not the other one.
Yay!
It looked like she's gonna look.
No?
It was a 40% chance.
Yeah. Less than 50%
It
chance.
was a little too high.
Even if it does rain, thankfully I got Monday off. I can do it on Monday. I'd like to get it done today though, so I can just take Monday off totally. But maybe today will be my off day.
You got plans, Matt? You got plans?
This afternoon, about 4:35.
There we go.
Go, go. We're back to the Championship Racing Network.
Welcome back in. I'm Steve West, and I want to let you know about our good friend Michael Hart and his company, Ox Foundation Solutions. These guys may be very, very important to you. Because if you have any problems going on with your house where you got cracks in the walls, inside or outside, you're having a problem opening your doors or shutting your doors or opening or shutting your windows, or maybe you've got kind of this moldy smell, this musty kind of damp feel and smell to the basement or crawl space. It doesn't mean that it is, but it could be a sign of a problem with your foundation, and you definitely want to get that checked out because we are talking about your home. We are talking about one of the biggest purchases you're ever going to make, potentially the biggest purchase you're ever going to make. You certainly don't want that foundation going out from under it. And here's the other side of it. The longer you wait, the worse it's going to get because once it starts this situation, it doesn't fix itself. You need to get it fixed. That's where Ox Foundation Solutions comes in. Call Michael Hart, 205-362-6419. He will come out. He will give you a no cost to you, no obligation to you, written assessment of what's going on. And if there's nothing going on, you've got peace of mind. If there is something going on, you now know what it is, and you can target it to get it fixed. Give them a call again, 205-362-6419. If you happen to be in the situation where you do need to get stuff fixed, you mention the promo code WEST, W-E-S-T, and you'll get 15% off of said repair. It's just that simple. Ox Foundation Solutions, they're the people that you need to talk to figure out whether or not you got a problem. And again, if you do, get it taken care of sooner rather than later. Save yourself some money. Yes, it'll cost in the short run, but in the long run, it'll save you. Because if you let that problem go, again, it's only going to get worse, and it'll only get more expensive. 362-205-362-6419. That's Michael Hart's number. Have him come out, take a look, get the peace of mind, so you know what's going on with your house. And again, if it's nothing, he'll tell you. He'll be straight up with you. But if you got a problem, you need to know. Turning our attention over to a little bit of drag racing here. Rupert Motorsports set to get their NHRA Funny Car division debuting this weekend in Las Vegas. They're going to debut in what they have brought in with a veteran, Johnny Lindbergh, to race the car. seems that the three-time Hot Rod Heritage Racing Series Nostalgia Funny Car champion Jason Rupert, the team owner, has plans to be the full-time driver in the future, but he's been working so hard on building the Funny Car team up, he hasn't actually had time to upgrade his license to be able to drive yet. He promises that'll be coming this coming week, but in the meantime, Johnny Lindbergh, not exactly the worst person that you could put in the car for now.
No.
Jeff Deal Racing has also said they're going to debut this weekend in Las Vegas. They're going to begin his 2021 season after they sat out 2020 due to COVID-19. He's bringing in a new sponsor. The Real Deal Pepper Sauce is coming on board. During the off time, the team worked with noted tuners Bobby and Dom Lagana to upgrade and improve their funny car inventory. In addition to their newest sponsor, they also have sponsorships from Redline Oil, XL Drywall, and 8 others. So they will be running the remainder of the 2021 season. Pro Stock motorcycle rider Joey Gladstone's going to be sidelined for a little while due to injuries he sustained during a testing accident suffered last weekend in South Carolina. Gladstone was aboard his nitrous-injected Suzuki motorcycle when the accident took place. He suffered 4 broken ribs, a bruised lung, broken collarbone, broken shoulder blade, a concussion, and as he termed it, quote, road rash absolutely everywhere. All he's missing is the partridge in a pear tree.
Oof.
He was checked out at a local hospital, but released last Sunday. He is at home in Virginia recovering. He has no timetable for his return to racing, and as for this weekend, the bike that he would have raced will be run by team owner Corey Reed. While not likely to host Camping World Drag Racing Series anytime soon, if ever, it is noted that right here in our own backyard in the state of Alabama, Montgomery's Capital City Motorsports Park has been added to the NHRA Southeast Division member track list. Very cool. Owner Ben Willis said, quote, we're proud to put Montgomery back on the map and rebuild a solid relationship with NHRA Division 2. The track's 2021 season is about to get underway, featuring several large events, including the free entry 10K event coming up in August and a Junior Dragster Halloween race. If I need to tell you when that is, let me go back and tell you that it is the Junior Dragster Halloween race.
What date is that?
Man, it's been so long since I've been down there.
I toured that when I was taking a trip down to the beach with one of our former show hosts, and we stopped there. And it's a very nice facility. It is not outfitted like what you would consider to be a Mellow Yellow Drag Racing Series track to be, with, you know, the first, quarter of the track or third of the track with stands going down each side and a big press box there.
But it's not terribly far.
It is not terribly far. And again, looking at the surface, the guy that was there, when we told him who we were and what we were doing, we just said we wanted to check it out. He said, yeah, take your car down the track. Don't do it stupidly. You know, so it wasn't like I was going full blast, but I will say that I topped triple digits. Yes, I did. But anyway, it was a good...
Steve.
It was a good... Hey, statute of limitations ran out of it. That was what? 4 years ago?
Something like that.
3-4 years ago?
Last time I went down there, they was actually filming and doing the episode of Pinks.
Nice.
That was a affair and a half.
I bet it was. But again,
Wow.
the surface is solid. It's very nice. For what it is, it's a very, very nice facility.
Yeah.
So
The right partner investing into it, it wouldn't take much to get it up to NHRA.
No.
Camping World Drag
Camping
Racing.
World Drag Sayer.
Quick.
Yeah, it could happen in a heartbeat if
Yeah.
they chose to. And, you know, hey, Atlanta said that they're not going to do the Southeast Nationals anymore. There is an opening.
Hello, Southern Nationals.
You know? Just noting it. Let's turn our attention over to the guys who are going to be running at Barber Motorsports Park this weekend. The NTT Data IndyCar Series officials announced this past week they have signed a deal with Pennzoil. They're going to have the brand become the official motor oil and lubricant partner of IndyCar. It's a multi-year deal that's going to be very apparent for those of you who are attending or watching at the beautiful track at Barber. In addition, the company is going to have their logo on the official technical inspection transporter, so that'll defray some of the cost of traveling to each location for racing around the United States. Pennzoil's also anteed up in another way. They're going to be the official sponsor of a new award in the IndyCar series, IndyCar Chief Mechanic Award. They're going to give $50,000 to the chief mechanic that heads the car that wins the 2021 IndyCar Series title.
Nice.
Very cool.
Nice.
A little bit more than a week ago, during testing at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, had several crashes be reported, but it took a few days before we started to get some details. We found out earlier this week that Ed Carpenter Racing said one of their drivers, the 2020 Rookie of the Year, if I remember right, Renus VK, suffered a broken finger in an accident Thursday a week ago. He initially said of the crash to NBC Sports, this is why it really didn't get much press initially, quote, "I'm okay, my hand's a little beat up, but I'm all right." Yeah, it turns out it was a little more serious. NBC Sports IndyCar pit reporter Marty Snyder reported earlier this week VK had been seeking a hand specialist and ended up getting a special brace fitted that would allow him to race this weekend. He told NBC Sports himself he felt as though that the injury would not affect his ability to be able to drive at Barber Motorsports Park. Again, we don't know which finger was broken, but in this situation where, and we've seen this, we've seen the steering wheels that are used and everything like that. If you set the brace in the proper position, it really shouldn't hurt you as far as being able to have a grip on the steering wheel, because you pretty much got hand grips built into what they use the steering wheels in the IndyCar series. This shouldn't be, I wouldn't think, that big of a problem. Depending on how he moves it, because how tight you might have to turn, it might wrench it just a little bit and cause a little bit of an ache.
Yeah, but at the same time, though, you got to factor in which hand had fingers broken.
Yeah, we don't know which hand, we don't know which finger on which hand.
Because the right side of the steering wheel is your upshift, left
True.
side is your downshift.
Yeah. So if it's one of these two fingers, your main two fingers,
That
could be a problem.
There's going to be a really sore ring finger and a really sore pinky finger on one side.
Yeah. So again, we don't know all the details on that. Hey, we wish him the best.
That's why you let the wheel go when you wreck.
It doesn't matter what series you're in.
And I'm glad that was brought up right there, because I had Renus VK set in my fantasy league lineup, so I had to go make a change.
Switch! Renus is no longer in Matt's fantasy starting lineup.
Nope.
The upcoming Indy 500 set to have 35 confirmed entries. We got confirmation from Chevrolet. They have signed contracts to provide 17 engines to teams for the Indy 500 coming up in May, about a month from now, a little over. Honda's already confirmed that they have contracts for 18 engines. And Chevrolet has let it known that there is the possibility of yet another one, a 36th overall, their 18th, because they have yet to hear from Top Gun Racing. Top Gun Racing is still non-committal when it comes to running the race. They did not take part in the recent open test at the track due to lack of an engine, but Chevrolet is willing to step up and help them if they do choose to race. And then we go to our all-electric partners going around the world. Yeah. Formula E has partnered with UNICEF Worldwide. They're going to support the efforts of the nonprofit agency to help children through their Safe and Healthy Environment Fund. This is a 3-year partnership where Formula E is going to contribute to helping some 3 million children around the world. They're going to focus on environmental climate initiatives and adaptation programs and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to get into the details because, quite frankly, it'll read like you watching paint dry. But according to leaders of the series, this is step 1 in their plan to work with local charities in each of their host cities. This is a cool move. This, by the way, is something that they are not piloting.
Right.
They are taking this from the NASCARs, the Indycars, and the Formula Ones of the world,
Right.
who have long been known for getting involved in the local charities in the cities that they race in. So thank you, Formula E, for catching on to that. Officially yesterday, the series, along with members of the FIA and the Auto Club of Monaco, unveiled the course that is going to be used by the all-electric series when they race the Monaco E-Prix coming up on May the 8th. They're going to use a just shy of 2.07 mile long course, which includes 19 turns. The same course that they laid out for Formula E, the exact same course that Formula One will run on later in the month of May in the Monaco Grand Prix. But there's going to be something new to the racers at Monaco E-Prix that's going to separate them out from their Formula One brethren and, quite frankly, every other Formula E race that you have ever seen. To the Halo safety system, they're adding LED lights, which will be automatically turned on when the racers go through the famed Monaco Tunnel and turned off when they get out. This marked the first time in Formula E history that lights will be mounted to the front of the cars to help light the way. The first time that Formula E is using the circuit that Formula One uses as well. We need to note that because they've raced at Monaco before, but they've raced on a much shorter track. But because the Gen 2 racer, keep in mind that they haven't raced there since the Gen 2 racer came in board, although that they were supposed to race it last year. The Gen 2 racer has more battery capacity and has more power, so it enables them to be able to run the full world-famous course. So if you have been missing Monaco, because, let's face it, again, Formula E and Formula 1 did not run there last year, you'll get a preview of it in Formula E, and then Formula 1 will take over later on in the year, in the month. Mm-hmm. And I'm still freaking out over the fact, and I don't like it either, that the way that the scheduling happened, we're not going to get that most famous day of racing that we have been familiar with over the past, I can't even remember how long now. It's been going on for that long.
It's been a while.
Usually you wake up, you get the Monaco E-Prix, middle of the day you get the Indy 500, and then you wrap up the day with the Coca-Cola 600 in Charlotte. So you get Formula 1 in the morning, midday Indycar, and in the evening you get NASCAR, right? Yep. Well, we are going to get Indycar and NASCAR on the same day, Memorial Day weekend. Somehow the scheduling didn't quite work out, though, and Formula 1's going to run the Monaco E-Prix the week before. I don't really like that.
No.
I don't like that at all.
It's I don't know how that could be botched.
I think, well, I don't know if it was botched. I think it was just a weird quirk in the way that the year kind of came about.
True.
You know, because they're promising that this is like a one-time deal. We'll see. We'll find out when the 2022 schedules all come out.
Yeah.
But according to what Formula 1 is saying now, they promise that it'll be back to the greatest day in motorsports, which I really do hope that it does become that again. Because it needs to be.
For sure.
There's something just cool about being able to do that. Not that I took time off from church, but it was kind of cool to be able to say, hey, listen, get the Monaco E-Prix. And the way that they always scheduled it. You know, even when ABC had the Indy 500, as a general rule, they would run it live. They run the Monaco E-Prix Grand Prix live in the morning, run the Indy 500, and then they would do a replay. So while you're waiting for the NASCAR to get into things and start rolling on the Coca-Cola 600, they would replay the Monaco Grand Prix so that you had that gap and you could just watch the racing pretty much from Indy through Monaco through NASCAR and really tick off my wife. Like, what are you doing? You're wasting the whole day. Yes, I am, and I love it.
Steve, what are you doing?
Watching racing.
Watching racing.
Yep.
It's going to be a while, honey.
Yeah. It's going to be like.
Good thing we got 2 televisions.
Yeah. Good thing you've got your own man cave. Get out.
Yeah. That is true.
But yeah, hopefully we'll get back to that real soon. All right. Time running out very, very quickly. Do you care to make a guess on IndyCar? I'll be real honest with you. I haven't got a feel for this. It's so much is changing right now. I don't have much of a feel for it. Scott Dixon's always a bridesmaid, never a bride, so to speak.
At Barber?
Yeah.
He's the bride this time.
You think so?
Yep. He picks up where he left off.
I like what I saw at Kumasato last time, but the situation is different now. I can't think that he's going to do it. What I have read this week, Alexander Rossi's got a fire lit under his hindquarters. I think he's a dark horse. I think it's going to be one of the veterans, though.
Well, I recommend one of them getting in gear because the way the good old fantasy league team looks, it's Dixon, it's Rossi, it's Sebastian Bourdais.
I could easily see Sebastian Bourdais do well there.
And then, much to Mr. Plow's delight, Scotty Mack.
Scott McLaughlin. Yeah. We'll have to see how he does. Don't get over anxious, Scott.
Nope.
Let's turn our attention to what's going on. Richmond, I'll let you pick Xfinity. I'm not going to worry about that.
Xfinity's not running.
I'm sorry, Camping World Truck Routes.
Give me John Hunter Nemechek.
Not a bad choice. I like where you're going. Tomorrow? Cup Series?
I say, and I can't believe I'm saying this, Brad Keselowski turns the season around.
I'm going with the guy who's in his own backyard. I chose him last week. He almost pulled it off. I'm going that number 11, Denny Hamlin. We'll see whether we're right or not. Hope you join us next week when we run it all down and we get prepared for Speed Weeks in Alabama Part 2. Yep. Because it'll be Talladega weekend. Y'all have a great week. Be careful out there. We'll talk to you again next week right here on the Championship Racing Network.
This has been a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.